everybody, welcome back to the show. We're here again, same old gaggle of jerks and jerk loads. We're going to work through the 70s. We're going to work through it hard, we're going to work through it fast, and if you can't keep up, then go away hard and fast.
Not the same old jerks at all.
Definitely not. I'm a completely different jerk.
Hey, you guys fell for it. You thought the same jerks were back? No, we got new jerks.
Hey there, new jerk here.
Way to save it, dude. Way to save it.
We save everything here. We have nets for that. We're back and we're going to be talking about Eric's buddy today because everybody has that special friend. Especially when you're growing up in that hard time, you should have that special friend. Show starts out where Eric is in the parking lot and he's sharing his notes with Buddy Morgan, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He jokingly asks Eric if he wants to be his lab partner as he tends to blow things up. The Buddy then saunters over to his car, a Pontiac Firebird that Eric thinks he's trying to break into. The Pontiac Firebird is an American car produced from 1967 to 2002. It was designed as a pony car to compete with the Ford Mustang. 5 months after the release of GM's Camaro and Mercury's Cougar model. Eric asks to check out the car, which Buddy says go ahead to, picks on him for messing with the electric windows because, you know, you gotta mess with them. Not all cars had them back then. I had to actually take a brief pause and think about that transitional period that they all went through. You remember having to roll your car up for days?
Yeah, actually I did. I had a Firebird. That thing was immaculate. Except it was a V6. I remember my buddies coming up to me, he's like, hey, if that is a V8 and it is an automatic, you need to end yourself. You need to just drive it off a cliff.
Into the pits from whence it came.
Go Thelma and Louise. Just do it. You and your terrible car.
Yeah, I deserved it. But
I deserved it.
it had automatic power. But then I go into the military, and then I try and get back home, and my mom, I had to call her and say, hey, Mom, where's my Firebird at? And she's like, oh, I sold it.
So she's like, it flew away.
Apparently.
Oh, Joe. Go right to you know where. Jeez. We cut to Bargain Bob's. Red's getting his first paycheck, and Bob brings up the fact that he still hasn't sold anything for the first time yet. Red's having a hard time knowing this. He hates it, of course, because Red hates everything. But he finds himself not being able to sell anything because he gets too angry at the people he's trying to sell things to because
I'd like it to be cold.
they have no idea what they truly need
I'd like it to be cold.
as opposed to what they want, i.e. color in most cases, apparently.
I do know I like Harvest Gold.
I don't know if any of you ever worked selling anything, but generally screaming at people does not make them want to buy things from you.
As clearly seen when he scares off a customer for basically, I can't sell you anything if you don't know what you want. And she just looks at him like with the fear of God and just runs away practically. Red has to use Bob to save the day. From here, we see another historical cutaway. You see the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. There isn't really any like video, but they do that weird mouth thing they do, you know. Yeah. Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders were actually a pretty dang popular institution back in the day. I mean, they're still kind of a thing now, but they don't have the notoriety they used to. Jackie, you will hear talk about throughout the series how she is desperately wanting to be one.
Yeah.
Although that never really pans out. But they used to be known as America's Sweethearts. They initially started out as a co-ed squad in the 60s. Imagine that. Yeah. Before an incident involving a cheerleader named Bubbles Cash. She was a squad member who was also a stripper. Basically, her job as a stripper and her sexual appeal caused the owner to be like, you know what, we're gonna get a whole squad of you guys. So I guess the American Sweethearts are the first stripper squad cheerleading team.
Let me just say this, Stripper Squad isn't already a band of superheroes. What are you doing? They could even be anti-heroes. Stripper Squad could just be running around, you know, stomping out the life for women's rights.
We cut back to the high school parking lot where Hyde and Kelso are waiting in the cold for a ride, wondering if Eric got hurt. Hyde tells Kelso, calm down, lassie. I'm sure Timmy's just fine. That's how I would imagine he's talking in the cold, man. Wisconsin. You ever go to a Packers game in the cold? Lassie, TV show. Debuting in 1954 and created by Robert Maxwell and an animal trainer, Rudd Weatherwax. Weatherwax? Can you imagine just Jester's mustache wax raining down from the sky?
It's that time of year again.
The show ran for 17 seasons on CBS, while initially in black and white. The show would transition to color during the 11th season in 1965. The show centers on a heroic dog's adventures in a farming community with an 11-year-old Jeff Miller and then later Timmy Martin in season 4. The show was nominated for Emmys early on and spun off on a whole load of merch including costumes, toys, and Campbell's soup. The soup for my family. They're saying it's soup for my family. They're just throwing it at the police and they get cut. It's soup for my family. Those guys sponsored the series throughout it all. Kelso says they should check the school morgue, which Hyde says doesn't exist, and complains that somehow Kelso is doing better than him at school.
Man, you know, I really want there to be a school morgue though. Like, I want to go to the place that needs it. What's at your playground, guys? Is it old school torture devices? Is it like an Indiana Jones walkthrough dungeon where you're just moving along and the spiked barrel just falls down and rolls at you at high speeds? I want to know, what kind of toys are you playing with, guys?
Like some kind of Greek Colosseum American Gladiators like mashup.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining is these little kids like fighting to the death. It's like, oh, another one goes to the morgue today.
It's like a Dothraki wedding. It's just not the same if a couple people don't die.
The janitor carries a wheelbarrow. Bring out your dead.
Man, dead kids in school. It's just such shivering.
It brings back.
That's what a morgue is for.
We were talking about dead adults.
Probably for the dead.
It's okay when you talk about dead adults.
Okay.
It's like a shocking drop in tone. Dead kids.
I mean, if you got a morgue, are we also going to include a crematorium just in case? I mean, you know.
Okay, so what? You run out of room? What are you?
Essentially, I don't know how many people are dying in the school.
We're not burying them on the school. We're just going this. Cemetery's not back.
I mean, truthfully, the only school I know that has a morgue is a medical school.
Yeah, you know, one of the schools, one of the elementary schools that I went to, did have a graveyard on the other side of the fence, so...
Talking about Jackson?
I sure am. See, you went there too, don't you?
Yeah, I grew up at that school.
You know, you grew up at the school. That's rough. That's a sad life, bro.
Harry Potter.
Don't talk to me about that. What I'm saying, though, is that do not take that away. Do not go to school, live in a closet. We do not endorse that here. I don't know.
Disclaimer, I'm completely joking, but it's still funny.
Ref day at the office, kids.
Kelso says maybe they should just walk, but Hyde disagrees, saying if God didn't want them to walk, they wouldn't have foremen.
That's sound logic, let me tell you what. Cut to the hub where Eric and Buddy walk in, chat it up as good friends do. Is this before or after their montage? Can you tell me right now off the top of your head? Go. Okay.
I haven't labeled when the montage happens.
No, I know. I was messing with the audience.
Oh.
Jackie then gets into deep detail about the click system and why it's not okay that Buddy's hanging out with Eric. And I thought it was a pretty interesting breakdown too.
You see, Buddy is in the rich kid clique. They mingle with the jock clique. Then you have your smokers and your heads, okay? Rich kids can be smokers and jocks can be heads, but jocks cannot be smokers unless they're rich.
Eric introduces him to the group and Fez says,
My gosh, buddy, with a car like that, you must be knee-deep in horse.
The guys then head back to Eric's on a jaunty ride. They cut to the kitchen where Kitty and Red are discussing how Red needs to use his people skills, and Red's like, they're not real. Like magical elves in the woods, they're not real. I wish he would have said something that cool. I like the magical elves bit, but they're not real. And then she forces him to smile because you kind of have to. He's a tyrant without teeth.
Cut back to the basement where the gang's watching Gilligan's Island, or in Fez's case, Gilligan's Island.
Oh, Gilligan.
Hold on. You guys remember when we did the Lame and we had our theme song?
Huh?
You remember our theme song to the Living Lame back in the day? Yeah. That's what I think of every time I see Gilligan's Island now. Oh, Living Lame.
Yeah, good old days. And Fez mentions the coconut radio. I didn't really bring any facts about Gilligan's Island because I feel like we talked about it before, but I'm not positive. In walk Hyde and Kelso, who berate Eric because, of course, he wasn't there to take them home from school, which is apparently quite a bit of distance away. Donna mentions having company and Hyde boots Buddy out of his spot, which he takes as a cue to leave, taking Eric back to school to get the Vista Cruiser. Kelso's annoyed, of course, but Jackie's actually happy for Eric being able to click jump since, as Joe mentioned earlier, it's quite the feat apparently in 76. Hyde says he hates Buddy because he has everything Hyde doesn't, so typical jealous asshole. He laments that Buddy will be off to school, he's probably doing the same stupid crap in Point Place. Donna reassured him and Hyde touches her leg, which of course she rebuffs. Cut back to Bargain Bob's, where Red is attempting to sell a woman a toaster, but quickly becoming flustered when he realizes she too does not know what she wants.
Think, lady!
From here, we go back to the hub, where Frank is calling for Kelso to get his hot dog. When Kelso asks why he won't just serve them their food, Frank states, "I did not lose my leg in Vietnam so that I could serve hot dogs to teenagers."
Hey, I did not lose a leg in Vietnam so that I could serve hot dogs to teenagers.
That's not exactly my best impression of him.
I think it's perfect. Do it again, please.
I did not lose a leg in Vietnam so that I could serve hot dogs to teenagers.
Wonderful.
It's Mitch Hedberg, not Danny DeVito.
He's the smaller twin.
I'm the trash man. When Kelso mentions that Frank has both legs, his response is, "Like I said, I did not lose a leg in Vietnam."
Yeah, I got to hear it a third time. Mike's so good.
Kelso, having no response, just goes off to eat his hot dog when Donna shows up. Hyde asks about Foreman, hiding his jealousy toward Buddy terribly, saying that Eric only hangs with Buddy because of his car, to which Donna responds that they do the same. Hyde responds by saying they go way back, with Kelso mentioning Eric's childhood treehouse and go-kart. Just imagine that, you're trying to defend the fact that you don't use your homie, and then just replying, "Yes, but I do, okay? Now, you know what? I just want my homie back."
Let's give my homie back, man. I don't even lie about it anymore.
Frank then walks up and tells Hyde to buy something or get out, and that he has a big wedding coming in.
I got a big wedding coming through.
Hyde calls him out on the obvious lie, only to be told to buy something or get out again.
Buy something or get out.
Hyde tries to play the rebel, but after failing to get the gang to leave, realizes how cold it is outside, and comes back in to buy something. Mitch Hedberg, a comedian born in 1968, known for his absurd humor in one-liners and non sequiturs. Having stage fright, he mostly performed in sunglasses and his hair in his face, even standing with his back to the audience at times to lower his anxiety. He would tragically die from a drug overdose in 2005.
Hardcore, man. You never win with those.
Quotes. "I'd like to throw a toothpick into the forest and yell, 'Ya home.' My friend asked me if I wanted a frozen banana. I said, no, but I want a regular banana later, so yeah." An escalator cannot break. It can only become stairs.
Excellent. I actually really like that escalator part. That's really inspiring. I think my entire life's been changed now. I will never look at the ground the same way again.
Actually, this episode of That 70's Show made his first and only acting role he ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. We cut to a montage of Buddy and Eric doing great friend things to the song, where they're playing air hockey, they're buying the devil's lettuce, and they're doing lab experiments. Look at those kids, man. They are straight break batting it up. Best Friend's a Harry Nilsson song. It was originally titled Girlfriend. The song was retooled by Nilsson for the ABC series The Courtship of Eddie's Father. We see the two coming out of a movie with Eric saying, "Ha, who knew that the movie about a car wash could be so funny?" The Car Wash is a 1976 film starring Richard Pryor and George Carlin, among many others. The film is episodic in nature, chronicling the lives of employees and the owner, with both the mundane and the dramatic being explored. Many will be dirty, all will be scrubbed. After they get in the car, Donna comes up and Buddy needs to know if they're a thing. He's gotta know, for personal reasons. I think it's science. Eric says he's just not sure, there's so much going on and life's weird and, he's just confused. And Buddy puts his hand on his shoulder and says, it's okay to be confused. As Eric is mid-sentence explaining his worries and his trouble, Buddy moves in for the goal. Eric freaks out a little bit being caught off guard, coming to the realization that Buddy is, in fact, gay. Buddy tries to play it up before quickly giving up and admitting the truth. You know, I'm also really happy with the way they handled this. Just from start to finish, this whole ordeal that happens is just really, really well handled. I've seen other TV shows, especially like around the time, when they touch on the topic, and when they even do it a little bit, it's just done sometimes in the worst way. And it's, I don't know, I really like how they ended up doing this. It's good.
They treated it with a real dignity, gave it the heft and the emotional. Well, it was completely comedic, but you felt like the importance of the moment. This is actually the first same-sex kiss ever on national television, so kind of marks an important moment in history. But the fact that the moment wasn't brushed off as something silly or stupid, and that Buddy was given the credit for being who he is. And there will be a clip that we show actually not long after this that shows right after, which I think really sums up the producer's feelings on the situation perfectly.
Definitely. My favorite thing is, like I was saying, from the moment it happens, he's not like disgusted. He's not angry. He's not upset. He's just like, whoa, like it caught him off guard. And that is just like that genuine, like, you know, it's like a kindness that wasn't offered a lot to a lot of people when they came out and they were open about who they were. And that's just great. And I feel like if you aren't the one coming out, be the guy who accepts it that way. You know, be the person who just, you know, accepts people, because we need more of those in the world.
I loved how they actually were portraying it too. I mean, that was a groundbreaking moment in history, and it actually helped a lot of people who were probably struggling with those issues see it actually brought to light to the world. So, I mean, this was a pivotal point in history, and that's when the ball really started rolling on a lot of these progressive issues, because we were just seeing how the dawn of the internet was starting to come out. We were really starting to connect with people a lot more, and it actually started forming kind of more empathy along the lines. And then that's when a lot of people were actually integrating and talking about these issues, and we had progressive education systems around this time. Groundbreaking.
It was good. I'm happy.
Not only was the dignity of it, the rarity of it, the historical aspect of it, but it's amazing that for it being what it was, the first time that ever happened, it was treated normally. It wasn't like a shameful thing. Like in the 70's, you couldn't really say that kind of stuff because you never know how people would accept it. But as you guys are talking about, progressive attitudes even back then there's a lot of people who probably cared less about it then than they do now.
Yeah, true. There's definitely people that, like I said, it's good. It's good to see. It's wholesome, and we need more of that. Please do.
Could you imagine history without Harvey Milk?
Oof.
We just need the world to treat it normal.
And just because Johnny's a boy, don't think that appearance and physique aren't important to him, too. Johnny and Janie both need reassurance that they are accepted and respected for what they are.
We cut to Buddy from there, driving a wide-eyed Eric's home. Eric tells Buddy that he's not gay, and he's like trying to be as nice as he can about it because he's just so freaked out at the moment. Buddy actually asks him if he's sure. Cue the awkward conversation with Eric ultimately accepting Buddy, which is great, but being nervous around him nonetheless. Cut back to Red and Kitty making drinks, with Red saying he's going to quit. He feels like dead weight, and he doesn't want to be there if he can't make a sale. Kitty suggests roleplay, of course, to help Red kind of figure out his mindset, and Red does not want to do that. But because of her and her examples, he realizes that he really needs to be the only one who knows anything, because then he can just tell people what to buy. And she kind of laughs and kind of tells him, hey, isn't this like exactly what you do to people anyway?
Isn't this how it's supposed to go?
Yeah. Shortly after, Kitty leads Red on a little bit, says, hey, I want to buy a mattress, and right after Red's almost dense ass gets it, they fly up the stairs.
Like a bat out of hell. Look like a couple of bats out of hell, in fact.
Older bats with bats.
Them old bats.
Cut to the basement where the guys are missing Eric. Kelso buries himself by saying it's not the same as talking to Jackie because he's able to vent his frustrations about Jackie to Eric. Suddenly, Eric bursts into the room and lays one on Donna in the midst of her greeting him. As everyone looks on venting their frustrations about having to walk home all week, Donna asks about Buddy. Eric says he's busy. Fez calls Buddy out as gay, which Jackie refuses to believe. Kelso doesn't believe it either because he thinks he would have been all over him. I can't believe that you know, I think that Kelso is really kind of fessing up to something here, and that's fine, man. I mean,
If he doesn't
be you. Just be you.
Exactly.
If he doesn't fess up to it now, him and Fez get quite the dynamic later on in the series, so they definitely hint at the possibility, that's for sure. If it weren't for the final like season and a half, you'd think Fez was right there.
Yeah, true.
God. The amount of Fez at the end of the final season. Oh my gosh, dude, what a horn dog.
Right, he is. He's become quite the little man.
Yep, and he started out as such a small wee man and just becomes such a giant.
Become Ricky Ricardo.
Cut to the driveway where Hyde and Donna ask for confirmation, which Eric indirectly gives away, saying that he won't make a move again. As Eric walks into the house alone, Hyde tells Donna that he's there for her if Eric ever decides to dabble in the love that dare not speak its name. And she walks off.
Back at Bargain Bob's, Red is selling the hell out of a Mixmaster machine. And he's even got the person saying, "Why, you're the most helpful salesman I've ever had." Quite an improvement. Kitty must have given him a real talking to in that bedroom, and that mattress sale must have been the best. He gets his first commission and is so excited he calls Kitty to tell her the news. Back at the school, Eric walks out into the parking lot to ask Buddy for his notes back, and there's that awkward morning after conversation that they have. Buddy says that he would understand if Eric doesn't want to be his friend anymore, and Eric immediately is like, "Whoa, no, absolutely not. I just need my papers, man." They basically tells him it doesn't mean anything to him. He just doesn't understand why. Buddy says it's because he's smart and sensitive and nice looking. Eric, who can't take a compliment, disputes it. Buddy goes ahead and flirts with him a little further accidentally, I suppose. And Eric accepts the compliment finally and gives Buddy a good old attaboy before I fade off into the distance. The episode ends with a work day with good old Fred and Barney, Bob and Red, and the tune playing in the background.
Let me tell you something about my
Best friend.
I don't know the next line. I'm just remember.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what was written in the lyrics, guys. I'm pretty sure we nailed that one. Alright guys, thanks for joining us in our antics once again. It's always good to see your beautiful faces. We look forward to seeing you next time. Live as always, I'm the Fox.
I'm Colt 45.
And one zigzag, he's half out.
Name's Cordo.
Keep it real.
Don't call me Colt 45.
Think, lady! I'd like it to be cold.